Welcome, Team Joanna, to the fourth installment of Q&A Tuesdays. I am Wendy Shepard. If you haven't listened to these before, one of the moderators of Joanna's private Facebook group. For those of you out there, we are building some things that are really exciting coming up, and so we have a sign-up sheet for our mailing list. So if you haven't done that yet, please go to thehigherconsciousnessacademy.com, and we will also make sure that link is posted along with this video. So, Joanna.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Wendy. And also, just very quickly, if you are listening to this on the Joanna the Medium YouTube channel, to get your question answered, you have to join the private Facebook page, and the link is also down below. So if you are listening to this on YouTube, follow the link below, join our private membership forum, private member forum, and you can ask your question that way. All right. Okay, my dear, take away.
Awesome. So, so before we sort of dive into the topic kind of questions, some people are wondering, what are your healing sessions like?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. Particularly because this is something that's fairly new, like literally very new, ever since beginning of this year. I think February is when I was basically gently asked to start offering healing. So, okay, how do I describe this? So I'll just kind of go through. Let me just put it in my head. I want to see how I can put it out there so that it makes sense. So basically what I do is a client will send me a form or a note, and they will mention some of the things that they are wanting to address. So I'm just going to name just random stuff. I don't have enough money. I have a back pain. I'm not motivated, yada, yada, yada. So I look at all these things as a symptom. So I will read what the client wants, fully knowing first and foremost that what I'm reading is a symptom, but I don't deal with symptoms. As a healer, I deal with what is causing the symptom. So even though I have an idea of what the client wants, the client is not aware of what they need. Mm-hmm. My team is aware of what the client needs. I am not even half time aware of what the client needs. I can pick it up, but my team steps in and they kind of show me what the client needs. So I literally, and each session is a little bit different, but essentially what I do is I connect to the person's light body and energy body. And in various ways, I will be shown various parts of the body or various chakras, energy center, where I am to focus my attention or focus how I project my energy. Oftentimes, and I actually think it happens all the time, but I'm not aware of it many times, when I project the energy, other beings are assisting me in that they will show me, guide me where to project the energy, but also they will work on the client themselves. So I'm going to give you an example that happened very recently. And some of these things, when I go into a healing, I have absolutely no expectation, because the moment I have an expectation, it makes it much more difficult, because now I have an attachment. So I have to come into it, be as neutral as I can possibly make myself be neutral. So a couple of weeks ago, I had a client who I think it was very general, that said, I think something about I'm tired, I'm not motivated, and I have health concerns. There was no specific mention of what kind of health concerns. So I just kind of took it as, okay, the client wants to have some healing done. And what ended up happening is I tuned into the client's abdomen. And what I saw was the beings that I was working with, they took out what looked like a black 1 to 1.5 inch piece of very sharp object.
Wow.
It startled me, not scared, startled, because I was not expecting it. So I started to kind of ask them what it was. I didn't get any answer as to what it was, but the fact that they were taking it out and it was black told me it's probably not supposed to be there. Mm. Now, keep in mind, I know nothing about the client other than literally 20 words that she wrote to me. in her in whatever she wanted to work on. So what happens is I will record a message for the client. If the client chooses to have additional information, I will actually record what transpired in the session, what I was working on, and anything that came out, because oftentimes I will receive information as to what is the actual problem that the client has, what is the problem connected to, any connection to people, situations, often past lives that will be shown to me that are still affecting the client. Certainly anything in this lifetime that the client is subconsciously holding on to, and that in itself causes a blockage, energetic blockage. So a lot of this information will come out, and that helps the client go, oh, I understand, because most of the things that we experience physically have the root in energy. So anyway, after 2 or 3 weeks, no, this was actually right away. I sent her an email with a recording, and she got back to me and she said to me, she says, wow, 4 years ago, I had not colon cancer.
Mm.
Now remember, she didn't tell me that
Ahead
she
of
wanted
time.
healing. Not only that, she didn't tell me she wanted healing for cancer. She just said she had health concerns.
Right.
So I thought, isn't that interesting? And she said she has not been to for a test for a while. And so, you know, as far as she knows, that everything is fine. Of course, I didn't tell her it was cancer because I didn't know that it was cancer. And I still to this day don't know that it was. And for me to even say it, I am very uncomfortable saying it. All I know that it's something was taken out. So here's what happened. A week ago, I received an email from her, and she said she went for a checkup and her test came clear. But her doctor noticed some patch that was black in her intestines, and he didn't know what it was. And I went, exactly. So when I kind of tried to tune in to what this could be, I didn't get anything other than whatever was taken out was either taken out because it could have turned into something more, or it was already being formed and it was taken out. Now, even as I say this to you, there is a part of me that's very, 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 very uncomfortable saying this, because I am not saying that I, as Joanna, do healing. I'm not saying that. But something happened. So there's lots of things that we don't know for sure, but there's all these interesting pieces that make me go, So I said to her, I said, make sure you keep going for your checkups and see what the doctor says. But she came out clear. And that, I remember when that thing was being taken out, it was black.
Wow.
Yeah. I've had few instances of that. And they always kind of, because I don't expect it, I don't expect pretty much anything. I'm just an open channel. But when they happen and like this, it always makes me go, because it's one of those things that, it's unexplainable, right?
Right.
All I care about is that whatever the client needs, the work is done. Some of it is through me. Majority is not through me. Majority is done through these beings that are working with me. But because the client is connected with me, I am acting as a almost like a doorway for those beings to come in and do the healing on the client.
Okay.
Does that kind of help?
Yeah. So do you do it like, via Zoom or whatever, or are you doing this remotely and then?
This is remotely, and I do not. This is not a. It's not not in person. It's not a one. It's, how do I call it? It's not a
in person, but like.
It's not a live call. That's
right.
correct.
Okay.
And here, there's several reasons for that. It would be a very boring call because I, for the entire process, remain quiet. Because this is the half an hour, it's intense focus of energy. Think about it. It's half an hour of intense focus is a lot of work.
Got it.
It's a lot of work. It's actually, I'm learning how healing sessions have a very different effect on me than regular sessions, because it's just very different type of energy. But so I don't speak. Number two, when I am doing healing, I am not really in my logical brain. I am more in my intuitive, my creative brain. So I even when I make notes, they're like little bits and pieces. They're not very coherent because I'm trying to get out of my head. The whole point is to be out of my head and be an open channel.
Right.
Right. But I still have to be enough in my head in order to be able to interpret the information that is being given to me or that I am receiving. So there has to be some engagement, but as removed as it is possible, as much as I can. So that's why yes, they're remote. Energy knows no distance. I mean, I can tune into your energy, you can tune into my energy, and I can do that even though we would not be speaking. So distance, where you're from, or time, it makes absolutely no difference.
Do you need to know, like, have a picture of the person or anything?
No.
Okay.
All I do is I have a name, what the client wants to work on, and when I read the client's information, I begin to pick up their frequency, their vibration. And just by reading what they tell me about what they want to work out, I'm already picking up certain energetic signatures and I'm starting to get information. So it's the same as with live client. I don't see a client, and I don't see a client for that reason, because I do not want to be swayed by what my physical eyes see. I see so much clearer when I don't have a visual.
Got it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Because then we have different, like we see something and all of a sudden it means something to us, right? The moment we attach a meaning or our meaning, it kind of dilutes the process. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So this kind of dovetails into, I think, what we're going to be talking about during this Q&A. So a lot of people are asking about connecting with energies. So what is the best way to connect with, like, the universal energy?
This is gonna, I think, disappoint a lot of people, and here's why. Because the answer is in the simplicity, and the simplicity is this: we already are connected. Are you getting chills?
Yep.
We already are connected, and I'm feeling it in my body. So those who are sensitive, you will begin to feel this energy. It's actually moving now towards my chest. It's very powerful. Do you feel that?
Yep. Yeah.
Woo! Jesus, this is like my drug of choice, I swear to God. What has to happen is a person has to be open. You can be, it's not that you can be, you are surrounded by energy. You are energy.
Right.
We are energy. Everything is energy.
Yeah.
The difference between me doing this work and somebody who says they can't is simply level of belief. I have come to a point where I think, for lack of a better word, it was drilled to me that we are all energetic beings. And I have been in states where that is unfreaking deniable. It is as obvious as day. Now, I appreciate not everyone has that level of connection at this point, but we all have a connection. So the answer simply is, you already are open now. That's number one, or you already now connected. Now, number two, accept it. Because here's the deal. You can be connected, but you may not accept you have the ability to do what you're naturally connected to. In which case, you will have the door closed. Doesn't mean you can't heal. It simply means you're not going to allow this energy to work through you. We're all channelers. We channel energy all day long. Every freaking minute we channel energy. We manipulate energy all the time. We don't look at it that way, but that's what we do. When you have a conversation with somebody, you are manipulating frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's with words, with body language, with breath, you hold, take, exhale, all that. If you break it down, we're all manipulating energy all the time. So how does one connect? You're already connected. So that's those two things I feel have to come before anything happens.
And I think so. If people are doubting that that's actually the case, I went to. Do you know Eric Pearl? Have you ever heard of him?
Name sounds familiar.
So I went to see him. Athelda and I, my wife and I, drove specifically up to New York City from Philadelphia to sit in this room that was packed. He's an energy, worker, and literally. So one of my really good friends is the person who kind of like really encouraged me with my own intuition and paying attention and whatnot. And so she and I worked together to cast me into a light so that he would see me. Mm-hmm. And so he was asking specifically for people who had a physical limitation. And at the time I was post shoulder surgery, and my surgeon kept me immobilized for so long I had frozen my shoulder. So he had gone around the room, and he finally, so there were some missteps, people who didn't really have physical limitations. And then he locks in on me, and he brings me up, and he starts working with the energy. And as I'm holding my arm out, he's pulling the energy, and you can see my fingers start to twitch. Mm-hmm. So then he taught us how to do this. Mm-hmm. If you simply rub your hands, your palms together, and just very slowly start to pull them apart, you can mm-hmm. feel an yep. intense energy in there. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's it. We all can do it. And so anybody listening, if you doubt at all that you have this ability, just rub your hands together and then very slowly pull them apart. Mm-hmm. It's correct. Yeah, it's.
And if after this they're doubting, all they have to do is turn into science. Science tells us we're energy. Mm.
Yep. Yes, they do. It does. So
what is healing really, if you think about it? And this is how it was communicated to me. Quite simply, healing is return to balance. That's what healing is. Mm. Yep. When we have this ease is because something or many things are out of balance. We often try to fix the problem without addressing the imbalance. Mm. The problem is merely a symptom of something deeper, right? Yep. If, for example, if somebody wants to heal a relationship, let's say someone is in a relationship and they have a fear of being cheated on. Just let's use that because it's fairly difficult. If the person's belief is, deeply subconscious belief is, that they're going to be rejected, as long as they hold on to that belief, that is what they will experience. There is no way around it. They may not experience their partner cheating, but they may experience a lot of rejection. Mm. And that's because subconsciously they're seeking it out. It's what they know. I had a text conversation with a client who just booked a healing session. And one of the things that she said was that she's having problems with a relationship. So I said, tell me what the problem is, right? Because it's not enough. It's not that I need to know because I can find out, but I want the client to be aware. Because everything is about awareness. My work is all about helping one be aware. So I looked at her and I basically said, because she says, well, I'm always the one giving and I'm always the one that doing and not getting enough. And I said, all you're doing is you're just like a stamp machine doing the same thing over and over again. That's all you know. You don't know any different. This is what was modeled for you. So unless you look at the belief that you hold deeply held belief of what relationship represents to you, and what you hold is based on what you've experienced. You can do, you can make all the superficial changes you want. At the end of the day, you're going to come back to this sad reality that until you shift your belief and your attachment to the old belief, nothing really will change.
This is true.
And also, if you keep on doing the same thing over and over, how will you create a different relationship? So for example, if her thing is overgiving, at some point you have to say to yourself, well, the overgiving isn't working, gotta try something different. But here's the problem. We fall into what's called an autopilot. So we are not then consciously creating, we are just reacting. Creating a different life means overriding our autopilot. Often. That's what it means.
Mm-hmm.
That's why change is so difficult. That's why change is difficult. Change is not difficult because whatever we want is difficult to get. Change is difficult because we have to go out of our way to get it. And that means we have to think about it. We have to focus on it. We have to make a conscious effort. And that is hard. That is like being a right-handed all your life and somebody comes to you and says, tomorrow you cannot use right hand, left-handed only. Imagine the frustration. Ah! Right? That's what it's like. That's why change is hard. Change is uncomfortable. There is absolutely no question about it. You can go through a phenomenal change, which I have gone many times. That still is uncomfortable.
Yep.
It doesn't mean it has to be bad, therefore it's uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable, period. Because change means you're leaving your norm. You're moving out of your parameter, if you will. You're stepping out of your boundaries.
Your
and
comfort
that means,
zone. Yeah.
Yes. Whether it's diet, relationship, whatever it is. Right?
Yeah.
Did that answer the question?
I think so. Yeah. So do you suggest any specific strategies to help people tap into what they already can tap into, but ways to kind of exercise that muscle?
Yes, the first thing that's coming is to have a real, honest conversation with yourself and ask yourself, what do I believe I represent? Who am I? Take an inventory. Who am I? Am I a person that believes this is not true? Or am I a person that believes it's not for me? Or I'm a person that believes that I can't do this? If you are a person that believes that, then we have to change the belief. Everything hinges on belief. It is very difficult to explain it's difficult to explain how big of a role intention and belief play. When one is in a heightened state of awareness, whether it's through meditation, like really deep meditation, a lot of self-awareness, certainly certain plant ceremonies, it is so amplified that it's undeniable. But once we come down to the regular 3D world, we kind of forget it, and we go back to our old ways, right? We go to the analytical mind, the programmed, what's norm, what's not norm. So I believe taking the inventory first, because here is the deal. If we have someone who wants to do healing, let's say, not even to be a healer, because I've said this before, if you're a freaking being, you manipulate energy on the lung, that means you're a healer. You don't have to call yourself that, you don't have to believe it, but that you are manipulating energy all day long. Okay, let's just accept that. If you can't accept that, we can't move further. Okay?
Right.
So if you believe that you are a person who's not worthy, we have to change that. We can't move forward because it's not going to bring you exactly what you want, because you will be slowing yourself down. You will be limiting yourself in terms of how much you invite in and how much flows through you. Think of yourself as an open channel. Every limitation and every ill belief limits you in terms of being a channel of energy. We're all channels of energy. Think of it that way. So one of the things that I would suggest is look at yourself and ask yourself, if I am a channel of energy, how much of energy is going through me and how much of it am I holding back by limiting myself by what I believe? Because it's not that if someone doesn't believe they're a healer, but they want to heal, it doesn't mean that they can't do the healing. It's just they're going to, it's like trying to pour a lot of liquid through a hose that's blocked. I mean, so a little bit squeezes through, but it's just, you just don't, you can't get the full benefit of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So taking inventory, I feel, would be one of the first things. And we all have limitations. If you're a human being, you have a limitation. It's part of the deal, right? It's to become aware of the limitation and realize that you are not that limitation. You are not that limitation. Your limitation is an illusion, a temporary illusion that was created for whatever reason because you wanted to experience a certain experience, but that is not you. Never was, never will be. And the more we come back to that knowing that we are more than our body, that we are more than the mind, we are more than the brain, we are more than the thoughts, feelings, when we kept coming back to that eternal truth, that is what keeps us, that's what keeps us open. It doesn't mean that, do you think I don't have doubts? Are you kidding me? I could probably write a course on how not to doubt. In fact, that's what we're doing. As a matter of fact, 10 years ago or so, while in a hypnotherapy session, I channeled a being. I now know who this being was. It was goddess Isis. I didn't know it then. And I asked her, what's my purpose for being here? And I remember it like it was today, because she started to laugh, but it wasn't that she was laughing at me. It was more of a laugh that said, how can you not remember? You are here to move past your fears. Mm. And she gave me the title of my book, which I haven't started yet. Fear holds everything back.
Oh,
fear slows things back. But here's what I want to say. It's not so bleak. It's not so bad, because fear in and of itself is not a bad thing. And I am learning to express that in a way that I hope is going to ring true with people. No feeling, no condition is good or bad. We label it as such, but it's not good or bad. Nothing in this universe is good or bad when we look at it from a bigger picture. It simply is. And then we have the connection. Then we have our labels, right?
Right.
And anyway, I forgot how I got there, but it's really important to just come back to that knowing. Of course, if one believes that that's what they believe, that we are energy having a solidified experience, or we have an energy in a physical body, but we are not the body itself. The body has its own intelligence. It's a vehicle. We are in partnership with our bodies. Well, some of us are anyway. I could go on a tangent on that one. Everything is about relationship. You think about it. We have relationships with what we believe. We have relationship with ourselves. We have relationships with our bodies. We have relationship with food. We have relationship with spirit, or we don't. Everything is about how we relate to what. That is actually what tells us who we are. Think about it. Mm. If you were closed in a room, and I had this experience some time ago, and it was, sometimes these beings will give me an experience that will make me go, oh my God, I get it. Because once I get it, it's in my bones. It's no longer a thought. I embody it. And the experience was that I found myself surrounded by all white. Did I ever tell you that?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
And it was everywhere I looked, there was nothing but white. And I remember thinking to myself, God, it's so peaceful, but why am I freaking out? And I started to kind of tune into it, and I realized all this whiteness meant there is nothing for me to relate to, and therefore my ego didn't exist. That's the part that was freaking out.
Wow.
Without
Wow.
anything, I was nothing. No ego.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting chills. Yeah, that was quite an experience.
Wow.
And I remember thinking to myself, wait a second, what's wrong with this picture? It's peaceful, but I'm freaking out. And I had a similar experience last year where I felt what I will call was my true essence, except I know because I was told it was just a percentage of what I was feeling, because my body would not be able to handle it. None of us would be able to handle our true power in our physical bodies, because frequency-wise, we would just blow apart our bodies. And I remember having this feeling coming over me, and it was out of this freaking world. And I remember being so scared. And I remember saying to myself, why am I so scared? And that's when they said, this is when they say you are afraid of your power. Now, logically, it doesn't make sense, but actually, if you think about it, it does make sense. If you have been told all your life, and we all have to some extent, you're not this, you're not this, you're certainly not powerful. And all of a sudden, you feel this immense power. What does that do to your ego? It tumbles down, because everything you have known up until this point in terms of what you represent is gone out the window. Your ego just went crashing down, because everything it thought it was is no longer. It's called ego death. Not particularly a pleasant experience, but one that has immense benefits. And it can be experienced in various ways. It doesn't have to be this drastic. I feel a lot of people right now are going through ego death. They don't know where they are. They don't know what to do with themselves. They feel lost. That's because their whole identity is no longer. Life is shifting and changing, and boy, is it shifting and changing in a hurry. There is no going back to what was. There is no what was.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
If we're going back to something new. It's not, I don't think many of us are going to go back to exactly what was, because that doesn't exist anymore, which means our ego has to adapt. We have to adapt. Our thinking has to adapt. And if it doesn't, well, we become stuck. So this is, I want to say, it's growth on steroids. That's actually pretty accurate.
I would agree with that.
Of course, not for everybody, but anyway, yeah.
Well, my dear, we are at the end of our time.
Jesus, time flies when we do this. I love it.
I know, right?
I love it.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing everybody next time.
Yay. Please comment.
Yes, please leave us comments. We appreciate you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.